Good morning, beautiful people. It's a beautiful day out today. A good day to be working on a vehicle. Today, I'm going to change the alternator. Battery light came on. Um, Now it doesn't want to start after it got parked. Belt is still on, which is the first thing I look for. Alternator's way down there, and connector's on. I checked it, make sure it's tight. The battery cable, I can't see it, but most likely it's there, and I'm going to check it while I remove it, but it should be fine. Battery terminals are good, nice and tight, clean. Car has almost 200,000 miles. Most likely it is the alternator. While I'm here, I'm going to change the belt too, and that should be it. I'll show you how I get that accomplished today on this beautiful day. First thing is to disconnect the battery. We're going to disconnect the negative terminal. Disconnect that, put it to the side, and then we go to work. All right, connector is off and put to the side so it doesn't touch and make contact with the battery. That's a 10 millimeter socket. A small ratchet will do it for you. Now we're gonna see what we gotta do. I think I gotta remove the tire. I have to jack up the car, remove the tire and the cover so I can have access to the belt on the side. So I'm gonna work from down here and up here. So let's get this car jacked up and tire removed. All right, tire is removed. Car is jacked up. Got a jack stand underneath for safety. There's the tire, lug nuts. It takes a 19 millimeter socket to remove it. We're gonna do it. I would suggest loosening the nuts while it's on the ground, while the tire's touching the ground. Loosen the lug nuts and remove them. Just loosen them up. Jack up the car, then remove the lug nuts and the tire. All right. So moving on. Most likely, I have to remove the cover. This cover. So whatever is holding the cover up, like these little rivets, plastic rivets or screws. I'm sure there's a few underneath that I gotta remove. I'll show you. I'll remove them all and then move the cover to the side to have access to the belt. All right. If you're wondering how to remove the rivets, the plastic rivets here, it's easy. The center pops out, that unlocks it, and usually come right out after that. Now some of them could be stubborn, so this came out pretty easy. Some of them, man, they break and are a pain in the ass, but that's how they work. Right? Pull the center out, and you'll be able to remove the whole thing. And if you have these kind of tools, it's best. If not, use a screwdriver and maybe a needle nose plier or something, whatever you got. All right, I got the cover removed. It's hanging by the last, well, the ones on that side. I don't have to remove this enough to swing it out of the way and give me access from the bottom. I'm not sure if I'm gonna need it, but it's removed so that I have access to the belt. And if I need to do some bottom bolts on the alternator, I think I can get to them from here somehow. I'll see. They gotta be here somewhere. But first time doing it, so we'll see what we gotta do to remove the belt. It's old. Doesn't look too bad, but might as well replace it now. I feel better replacing it now. All right. Now let's see what it takes to go to the next step. I gotta remove this out of the way, power steering pump out of the way, because there's not enough room to remove the alternator from the top or the bottom. So I have to make the space for it. All right. I'm gonna start removing the reservoir. I don't think I gotta remove the hoses. I think I'm gonna remove this and this as a unit. I've done this before. All right. All right, guys. So see that little piece of metal right there? It's a locking tab. push out on it and you'll be able to remove the reservoir. It's coming out. I just wanted to stop and show you guys that. So I want to remove that out of the way, and maybe have to remove the bracket too, but I can't get to the bolts underneath. Well, I can, but it's a pain in the ass. I already dropped the socket in there. I'm going to remove this first and then the bracket. Okay guys, so I got the reservoir off the bracket and I got the bracket bolts removed. But in order to get the bracket out, you gotta undo this part right here. The pulse clamp, plastic clamp. Use a screwdriver and just pop it open. And it should be able to come out easy. Got the bracket out. This is all loose now, so that I can move it out of the way. I think I'm gonna get a bungee cord to hold it in place out of the way, because I have to remove the belt and then the bolts for the power steering pump to get it out of the way. Get it all the way both together as one unit. Belt this out. Remove. It's tight, man. It's a pain in the ass. This is the tool that I use. I bought this tool on Amazon a while back. First time using it. So I always done it without it. That's what it's called. I don't remember how much it costs, but it was worth buying it. Gives you all kinds of different sizes, sockets, and it gives you this whole extension that you use, and you can position it in different angles so you can get at the belt. It makes the job a lot easier, so I recommend it, guys. That's the part number, and that's the brand. All right, now to the next step, which is removing the actual pump. Now that we got the bracket out of the way, I have access to that bolt right there, and I think there's another bolt underneath the pulley. All right, fellas, I got the reservoir tucked out of the way with a bungee cord. So now that gives me enough room to get at that bolt right there. That bolt right there, that's a 12mm head, and I have a swivel extension. It gives me just the right angle because it's not a straight angle. I think with a straight one you might be able to do it, but I got the swivel one and it helps me a lot. Got it loose. I get that out of the way, and then I get the one underneath. There's one underneath that you cannot see, but you have to feel for it. All right, I got that first bolt out. The way it looks. That's the one that went right here. Now I got the extension. I got the extension in the socket on the bolt that's underneath the power steering pump. That's about where it is. You have to feel for it, like I was saying before. Now I'll put the ratchet and I'm going to remove that bolt. Okay. So you have an idea where it's located underneath. There's no way of seeing it unless you use a mirror. But if you can feel for it, you'll find it. It's right there. All right, got the second bolt out. Same length, so you don't have to worry about if one is longer than the other. And now my plan is to remove the reservoir and the pump out this way, out of the way, so I have access to the alternator through here. All right, fellas, I moved the reservoir and the pump out of the way from where it was sitting, which is right here. Bottom bolt, top bolt, that's where it was sitting. Pushed it up because it moves with the reservoir and everything together. Here's the hose for the reservoir that's still attached to the pump. I loosen up this bracket from the AC line, give me enough room, which is this hose, and I remove this hose that goes to the pump from here to give me more room. Now it's completely out of the way. I got plenty of room for the alternator to come out, and it's staying there pretty good. It's a wedge between the engine and this hose. But if you need it, use a bungee cord to hold it in place out of the way. Now we're going to work on the alternator. Okay, that bolt is going to be one of the mounts. The top, and it has one on the top and two on the bottom, and they're 12mm heads. And it has a plug, a green plug, and it has another power wire on the behind there, behind the body of the alternator. But we'll have access to that after. I think this is the PCV valve. Maybe I should replace that while I'm here. Never been done, probably. Anyway, we'll move forward. Alright guys, I'm underneath and I'm trying to get the two bottom bolts of the alternator. I have my small 1/4-inch ratchet with a deep socket, 12mm, on one of the bolts. The other one is right next to it, towards the front. Let's see if I can see it. Where is it? Right there. Right there. I think this is the most difficult part from this whole job. So I got from underneath. That's how I went in through here. And because I don't have enough leverage on the handle, I ended up using you can use a piece of pipe, stick it in there and then ratchet just to get it loose. And then you don't need the pipe after that. Or you use a wrench that fits onto the ratchet like so, and that gives you leverage, and you loosen up the bolt like that. That's what I'm doing. Like I said, this is the part that I consider it to be the most difficult from this whole job so far. So I'm going to work on that bolt, and then I'll work on the other bolt that's right in front of it, and I'll show you what I got. There's another option is, because I found my other ratchet that has a swivel head, and I use a short socket, and that gives me enough leverage. It's tight, man. This is the only part that I don't like about this job, but gotta have patience, and well, you'll get it done one way or the other. Just stay on it. All right, got the bottom bolt off. What a pain in the ass, but guys, it's doable. Just gotta have patience. I ended up using this setup. I even got this one for one of the bolts, so you can do it with either one of them. I tried all three of them. If you can get this one will work the best. This one works fine if you have a piece of pipe to extend it, and this one for one of the bolts, the one further towards the back of the alternator. All right, I'm gonna go remove the top one. Get that top one removed. That is loose, but I have to remove it, and should be able to remove the alternator from there. Okay, the alternator got moved out of the way. The green plug has been off. And then it has a nut for the power wire. That's a 10mm nut. You have to move the cover off of it, the rubber cover. Move it out of the way with a screwdriver or with your hands to have access to that nut right there. There it is, guys. Got it out. So taking it out of that space, you have to go that way with it, because the hose on the PCV valve, unless you take it off, it won't let it come out straight up. So you have to go forward. You got to play with it, man. It's a pain in the ass. And then once you get it in this position, you'll be able to pull it up. And over here, it's going to get stuck again, so you have to wiggle it. Make sure you don't break any cables, disconnect anything you don't want to. Another thing, the wire harness that has the plug, and it has the power wire here. Has a plastic what's it called, rivet, or like a holder, and a clip. It goes right in here. You can unclip it. It's probably gonna break like mine. I tried with a screwdriver and it just broke right off. Not a big deal, but that's the original equipment, so that's how it went. If I came, unless you have access to this bolt and you remove it, and then you just leave the bracket out of the way with the wire harness. But that's what happened to me, so be aware of that. Another thing I forgot to mention, guys, put a battery tender because the battery was weak. Remember, before you start it up, charge up the battery, jump start the car or something. Make sure you have a full battery before you have a brand new alternator in the system trying to charge up a battery that was dead. That's my suggestion. Either charge it up before, or once you put the alternator on, put the jumper on it or jumper cables and charge up the battery before you try to start it. All right, so I think I'm gonna replace the PCV valve. Go to the store, get that done before I put the new alternator in. Here's the one from AutoZone. It's a Duralast brand new alternator, not a rebuilt. Is the original one, Honda Denso, and it's the new Duralast. Make sure before you put it in that the plug looks the same. The orientation of how it's mounted looks the same before you put it in. I think I paid $240 or $260, between $240 to $260. Plus I got the belt. Yeah, it looks good to me. We're gonna put it on. Like I said, it's a brand new one. It's not remanufactured. All right, fellas. So I went to my local O'Reilly and I got the PCV valve. Now, when you're checking the PCV valve, it's supposed to make a noise, and it's a one-way valve. You can blow into one side and it should be blocked, and you blow in the other side and it should flow. It does that, but it barely makes a noise. Like it works, but it's maybe gunked up. You can possibly get away with cleaning it with carpet cleaner. I didn't have any, so I just grabbed a new one. This one makes a noise. Hopefully you can hear it. And it flows better when I blow through it. It flows better than this one. Like I said, it might be clogged up. It might be worn out. I don't know. This is the time. It's only $15, and I'd rather do it. I know this car has been consuming a lot of oil lately, and it doesn't leak and it doesn't blow smoke out of the back. So it's possible that it is consuming, it's burning it, because this thing is maybe staying open a little bit and it just burns it, and not enough to where you can see it out the back. But we'll see. Might as well do it now. I feel better doing it like the belt and this. That's really up to you guys. If you want to go ahead and change it, this is what I'm doing, and I suggest for you to do the same, but it's up to you and it's up to your budget. Now, it looks a little different here, the tip of the threads. Hopefully it doesn't give me a problem, but it's the same length, except for that. I feel that that's a little longer, but we'll see. We'll find out. And if you're interested in the part number, where is it? There it is. From O'Reilly. O'Reilly. $15. All right, the PCV valve is in. That's the location of it. I showed you guys before. I got to put the hose back in. Don't forget to put the hose back on. It uses a 17mm socket, deep socket if you have it. If not, what I ended up using, I didn't have it on me, so I ended up using the tool for the belt, because it has a hole right through it, so it's the nipple of the hose can fit right through there. So it's 17 millimeter, guys. Okay. Alternator, it's almost installed. I put the green connector back in. Make sure when you put that in, it clicks in place. And then the power wire with a 10 millimeter nut, make sure it's snug, not crazy tight because it might break, but tight enough. And then make sure you put the cover back up. Now that's a hot wire, and that's why it's covered, so it doesn't touch any metal and then causes a short. So always put the cover back on. Now all I gotta do is line it up and put the top bolt in. Now I'm gonna put that bolt in, but I'm not gonna put it in all the way tight, so that it has enough play so that I can put the bottom bolts in, and then I'll make everything tight. Okay. The bolt is in. I did that one-handed, put it in place, and put the bolt in by hand. I'm gonna work on the bottom ones. Guys, I think I've missed when I took the belt off. I didn't explain how to remove the belt. I show you the tool, but this here's the tensioner. This is the body of the tensioner. That's just the pulley. With the wrench that I show you, you go in here, either from underneath or from the top, whatever is your preference. This is where the socket goes in, the 14 millimeter socket of this part. And you're going to pull that way. That takes the tension off the belt, and you can slip the belt off whichever pulley you want first, bottom one, the top one. And then you release it, and let me show you. That's the wrong socket. So just like that, with the 14 millimeter one, right? And then you, in this case, you would push down, and it makes it go that way, and it releases the belt. And when you put the belt on, you do the same thing to put the belt back on. That's called a tensioner. All right, let's move on. Okay, the bottom bolts are in. Guys, I had to wiggle it to get the bottom bolts in. And this one, I did the front bolt, the bolt towards the passenger side, towards the tire. And with this one, I did the back bolt, the one towards the driver's side. And yes, you do have to move it, and you have to squeeze your hand in here, and you have to work it, and you gotta have patience so you don't cut yourself. And you're going in blind, but you feel for it and you put it in. Okay. And another thing, guys, this is your compressor. If you guys are wondering, I replaced this a long time ago. And the starter, I replaced that last year. Pain in the ass. I didn't record that one. I wish I did, because it's interesting. All right, moving on. The reservoir, not the reservoir, the pump is in place with the top bolt in. I did that one by hand first, like I did with the alternator. The top bolt was loose till I put the bottom bolts. Same thing with this. It's screwed in, but it's not tight, so that if I have to move it, it has wiggle room to line up the other bolt. That's at the bottom bolt. Then at the end, you tighten everything up. Okay, the pump is in. Both bolts are nice and tight. Now I'll move on to the bracket. Bracket first, then the reservoir. All right, guys, the bracket is in with the two little bolts, 10 millimeter heads. Now remember the tab? I pushed the tab back and bended it, so I'm gonna put it back in place, because that thing locks this in place. Not a big deal, because it ain't going nowhere really. So now we release the bungee cord, and we should be able to put the reservoir back in its original position. And she's in. Now what we gotta do is make sure the hoses are back.
Remember that bottom clamp? That's the bottom clamp. Here, try to put everything back the same way you found this, so that there's a reason why they put these brackets on there, so nothing's out of the way. I mean, so everything's out of the way, not nothing is out of the way. You know what I mean. So know what I mean, Jelly Bean? All right, I gotta work on that bracket. I need both hands. Right. The hose bracket clamp thing is on there. This bolt's back here, and this hose is back in the bracket where it goes. So everything is back to normal except for the belt and the cover and the tire. So let's move on to that. The belt. You have to remember how it went. If not, look up online how you route it. Okay? Usually there's a picture on the car somewhere, on the hood or over here, a sticker that shows you how the belt goes in. It's not a big deal. There's plenty of videos and plenty of information online. But I'll show you how mine goes. I have to figure it out first. Hey guys, the belt is in. It's off a little bit right now from the pulley, as you can see, but once I turn the engine, it's gonna fall right in place. But it's, and every pulley is completely installed all the way on there. This is a diagram of how the belt is routed, if you need that. Okay, that's how it is. Take a picture of it. Make sure you install it properly. It's a new belt, so it's even tighter. Hopefully you got that tool, so you can, the tool that I showed you earlier, so you can grab onto the belt tensioner. All I gotta do now is put the cover back on, tire, and start it up. But it should be good. All right, guys, moment of truth. Let's see. Starts right up. No battery light, right? Yes. No battery light on, so that means it's charging like it should. I just gotta reset the radio, and that's it. It's running good. Like I said, the belt go right in place. Sounds perfect. All right, fellas. If this helped you in any way, please like, subscribe, it's free. Leave me a comment, tell me what you would have done different. Or if you have any question, ask me. I'm open for the next time I do it. Maybe it could be quicker, easier for me. So let me know what you think about the video. Appreciate you guys watching. Have a blessed day. All right, guys, one more thing. I don't have a volt. My voltmeter is dead right now, so I got my Power Pro just to verify that it is charging. Yeah, I have no light on the dash, but I wanted to see. And looks of it, yeah, 14.2, which is perfect. There's a nice little device here. I barely use it, but it's cool to have. You can apply voltage or ground to a circuit. So you gotta be careful with it because you can destroy stuff. All right, guys, have a blessed day.